An intro.
Thankfully, that part wasn't recorded, so... Dave, you okay? What happened, buddy?
Nothing. Completely professional. Professional podcaster.
Yes,
quite indeed.
Yeah.
So, what's up, everybody? This is That's Canon, a Franklin Armstrong Collective and Squared Idea co-production that we do here pretty often. I don't know.
About every 2 weeks.
Yeah, about every 2 weeks. So you guys this is another episode. We're going to be talking about a pretty interesting comic on this episode. I'm a little excited / nervous because I did like the writing, but I also see how some of it can be a little problematic. So it's going to be a fun one.
It will be. It's definitely one of my favorite series as far as this character in this world is concerned.
Yeah, it's a very interesting take.
Do we want to tell people what we're talking about? I like that we're being.
It's so secret.
It's so coded.
We're being so coy. I don't know why. I feel like maybe because of what the character is, we're like secretive or something. It's
maybe
weird.
because we're afraid to say his name because he might come after us.
I was about to say. I don't want to be on that list.
So the book we read is called The Babadook.
Oh boy. So folks, we read Punisher Max volume. So okay, I'll just explain this very quickly. Punisher Max, which was written best way to say it. Punisher Max 2004 is probably the best way to explain it. It was written by Garth Ennis, penciled by Lewis Larosa, and inked by Tom Palmer. This comic, the one that we read, issues 1 through 6, is volume 1 of the 2004 run, which ran until 2009. However, in the continuity of the Punisher, it is volume 7, so it's the 7th volume of the Punisher series. So if you were to read volume 1, you're probably looking at like his original stories, and then all the way till 2004, which is where volume 7 starts. But we are reading volume 1 of volume 7, which I know is sometimes confusing, but that's what it is. So issues 1 through 6. Which I think is called In the Beginning.
Yeah. In the beginning.
Very biblical.
Frank Castle did not create the earth, he destroyed it.
Yo, seriously.
He torched it to the ground.
That's true.
Because some guy shot up his family.
Well, let's start with this. The elevator pitch. In the first story, In the Beginning, Frank Castle's old associate Microchip is back, and he's after the Punisher. But first, he's got an offer for Frank that he'd better not refuse. Get ready for blazing bullets, bloodbaths, and bold beginnings in Kitchen... Oh, okay, that's just as the first one. The second part's called Kitchen Irish, which is 7 through 12. We're not going to be discussing that one.
No.
But yeah, so that first one just ends with In the Beginning. There's a lot of B's. Get ready for blazing bullet, bloodbaths, and bold beginnings. Why so many B's?
It's a tongue twister. It's to test you out.
What is it when a superhero has a Peter Parker alliteration?
Alliteration.
Is that what they were trying to do? Get ready for blazing bullet, bloodbaths, and bold beginnings? Breaking bastards, barriers beyond breakfast. I don't know.
Beyond breakfast.
That's actually, now that you pointed out, that's probably what they're going for.
Yeah.
and to be quite honest, there's quite a lot of everything they're talking about.
Yeah,
there.
true. It did work well the way they did it.
It was it was a good descriptive.
Yeah, it starts.
What would your elevator pitch be, Dave?
Oh, Punisher on crack. That's 3 words. Punisher on crack. I don't need the whole elevator ride. I need the pressing the button. That's all it is.
The funny thing about that is that in this comic, he's pretty much subdued from almost half of it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So the Punisher the stories or the things you see are things that have already sort of happened. But what's happening in the present time, or while things are happening in the present time, he is not a part of that story.
Yeah.
He's actually listening to the story almost. I hope that paints a bit of a picture for people.
I mean, so this...
It's like a conclusion gone wrong, actually. It's like there's something it was supposed to be an ending, and he's like, no, I just started.
Yeah. Like, it makes me think of... I know I mentioned this before, but the Black Panther Christopher Priest run, the fact that Christopher Priest decided he didn't want to write the story from the perspective of Black Panther. He wanted to write it from the perspective of Everett Ross.
Everyone else.
Yeah, so it's like Everett Ross's like storytelling of the adventures of Black Panther. And this one, it kind of feels the same way, where it's like the adventures of Punisher told through the eyes of like Micro and other people as they're trying to figure out how to stop.
It wasn't just Micro; it was like other people as well.
Yeah. So I mean, for my elevator pitch, I'd probably say, but I mean, Old Man Logan didn't exist at the time, but I called it Old Man Punisher because it's like he's like later on in life. It's 10 years later. Micro's a fat boy, as they keep referring. Garth Ennis is a cruel man. He is all about that body shaming and insulting people.
Body shaming and I like, guess sex craze.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God. He's the type of guy that, like, when you read The Boys, the fact that he wrote The Boys, I forgot that, I didn't realize it was him who wrote this at first, so I'm reading it, and I'm like, man, this guy writes like the guy who wrote The Boys. Like, the fact that women, like, at least O'Brien as a character. Anyways, sorry.
Anyways, yeah.
I'll get to that in a second.
That's the review.
Yeah, that's the review. So my elevator pitch is Old Man Punisher. We're going to be telling a story of like an older Punisher who's already gone through some ish, and he's just trying to keep it going. He's trying to end his war. And one last thing is, you know, the idea of like, if you cut one head, two more will pop up, like how Hydra and the Mob and most villains are like that. You know, just getting rid of one head doesn't actually get rid of them. Well, his mentality is just keep cutting the heads, which is it's pretty impressive.
He's more like blow up the body.
What's interesting about that?
That's a good point.
I feel like the Punisher actually is capable of cutting them off completely, and he doesn't because he enjoys it.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about. Is that your elevator pitch? Is that where we're going with it?
It's adding on to yours because yours is pretty similar to mine.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good. It's a Punisher who likes death.
Yeah. You can tell at this point he's done it for so long. The bloodlust, it's almost something he can't control.
It's like a vampire.
He can't leave it. He can't stop. Yeah, he can't stop. As much as he initially did it out of actually, maybe because of his initial motives.
Yeah.
His initial motives was for revenge, and he just kept killing for revenge. How do you expect that to just stop?
Yeah.
How do you expect to be able to just, like, quit? It's kind of like Dexter. He's pretty much Dexter with weapons.
That's true.
He's taking out the bad guys.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he likes to kill.
Yeah.
He's satisfying his own bloodlust of sorts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
And almost using his family as an excuse. So this comic you're going to read is an unraveling of that, and you get to see things through his eyes and how everyone else around him sees him.
I feel like that's one hell of a good. That's one hell of a good elevator pitch. That does it right there.
Yeah,
we were all in the elevator together and adding on to that.
Someone was just like, you know, what's the shorter version? What's the longer version? What's the detailed version? That's what we just went through right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so guys, that's the first segment where we do the elevator pitch. We try to give you guys just a bit of our own perspective. Some of them, if you've heard our previous episodes, are very positive. You can tell which ones we like and don't like based on the elevator pitch real quick. Because if you've heard some of the others in the past, we tear that ish apart from the get-go. So, yeah. We're going to be going into our next segment. Tobes, are you ready for it? Are you prepared?
Yeah. We are going to our next segment called Judgment Call. We don't have a theme song for this yet. I gotta make one.
Yeah, you'll make one. I'm looking forward to that now. I am looking forward to that now.
It'll be a quick, like, 2-second thing. Nothing crazy like the intro that I made.
So, I had one question to ask the judge and my fellow debater today.
Okay.
Are we allowed to use a team?
Yes.
Okay.
I will say that. Yeah. I'll give it. You know, as the judge, I think that's a judge's call. And just for anyone who might be tuning in for the first time, in which case you should go back and listen to the other episodes. Judgment call is basically us giving each other 3 minutes to discuss a topic. Basically, you have your moment to fight for your character's right to be in the spotlight, so to speak. And we give each other 3 minutes to bring them up, and then we give each other a minute to tear the other person down. And there's clearly been no limits, especially when it's me and Toby against each other for some weird reason. And this time it's going to be Toby versus Brian.
What up?
And I'm going to make Brian go first.
Cool. So it's 3 minutes, right? That I get?
Yeah. I'll be the time.
You got time? Okay.
I'll be the time here. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Oh, you're the one.
Okay. Well, no, but are you prepared?
I'm always prepared, good sir.
All right. So you're in 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, I'll be introducing you to a team you've probably never heard of, but you should be checking out, the Eternals. So, the Eternals are a group that are in the Marvel Universe. They are, I guess, one of the things about the Eternals is they're celestial bodies. They're what a lot of people, and if I'm not mistaken, Jack Kirby wrote them. He was one of the creators for these characters, and it was kind of a similar thing to the New Gods. So a lot of people tend to compare them to the New Gods. And if anything, that's one of the reasons that I feel they don't get a lot of shine. Because, you know, not unlike Deadpool and Wade, you know, that comparison always leaves people kind of figuring out which one they prefer more. Whereas in this scenario where the Eternals kind of go up against the New Gods often win. They are often recognized as a better team, even though this team is made up of what I like to call some of the best gods. So first off, Cersei might be one of the ones that you've heard of. Cersei is one of the main characters who was an Avenger. Each character has like different powers. You know, you might have someone who's a speedster. You might have someone who's just like a Superman, who's, if I'm not mistaken, the main guy, Kronos. And you just have all these different Eternals who have different powers. Another problem as to why they don't get a lot of shine is because of the Inhumans. Because of the fact that the Inhumans come along and have a similar type of structure where it's like a royal family and everyone and the conniving brother, a lot of people tend to ignore the Eternals. The Eternals are the celestial bodies. They've been around for millions of years. One of their main interactions in one of the stories that I have that I love recently that was done by John Romita Jr., introduces them as new Celestials come to the planet and they're trying to stop those Celestials and all their powers start to be reawakened. You find out that they've just been asleep, that they're Celestial being inside of these humans. So, and one of the things that's really cool about them is each character went on to do things similar to what their power set was. So one of them is a doctor and his power is a healer. One of them is like a fashion designer and her power is like something based on light. Like, it's all those types of things. And those characters, and the reason even I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to describe them to you is because there's not a lot written about them, and they deserve that spotlight because as a new family and as something that you can tap in the Marvel universe, especially for Marvel who doesn't have the X-Men yet maybe, but as of right now, if you're going to be planning, you plan with something that you have. So I say go for the Eternals because I think that they could bring a lot to the table. I still have time. I see you tapping, but I'm going to use my time. I'm one of the people who likes to use his time.
I didn't say anything.
Interference.
Kronos, Zuras, Icarus, Uranos, Cersei, Athena, you know, they really are kind of basing the god names on like Greek, classic gods. So that's another thing that's really interesting and really cool. And I do really think the Eternals deserve a chance to do what they're going to do best and save the world.
Just in time. I actually have one question. Isn't Gideon part of that? Or is he just like I know he's an internal being, but is he part of that family?
I don't know. I don't know them all by heart. That's the thing. I feel like, I don't want to take up more time, but exactly. Just answering the judge's question, don't hold it against me. I cannot answer that specifically because I don't feel there's enough written about these characters. There you go. That's all I was saying.
Well said.
All right.
So, Tobes, you good? You ready?
I'm good, man.
All right. So, 3, 2, 1, and go.
I'm not going to need very much time. Who is my character, you ask? Well, the question is, who is Okoye?
Oh, come on!
I think this is a character that we have just gotten introduced to in the mainstream via the Black Panther movie. She got enough of a shine on screen for us to take notice of her particular skills. But I think there's a lot more to be told in terms of story when it comes to Okoye. I would like to see a story where she sort of upbringing inside Wakanda, though, sort of trained from a child, but she was like friends with T'Challa as a kid, not just Nakia, but she also was competing for his affection as a kid, and having to see and just seeing like the break of bonds between her and T'Challa and Nakia as they're growing up. And then Wakabi coming into the mix and just them fighting and going to war together. I actually see this as being told as a Hollywood epic. And I think in terms of Marvel movies and solo female warriors, I think her story might be a little better told than Black Widow's, because Black Widow is kind of more of the same nowadays. It's all the whole Russian spy ballet school of all female assassin that's been told. But this story of the Dora Milaje and how they came to be and their history and how she gets to join them, and kind of I see this kind of being some sort of this whole mythical thing like the Amazons are in Wonder Woman. The way they fight is kind of similar, although they're not gods. And that actually, the fact that they're an all-female ass-kicking team with no powers, and they actually are capable of what they're capable of, I would love to see more of that. We don't have any of that on TV at the moment. So if there's even a team, if you want to make this not just a story about her, you want to make it about the Dora Milaje as well, even better. So, Your Honor, right, I would like to say Okoye should run for president.
you have 40 seconds left.
That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
Fair enough. All right, no, both solid points. So
1 minute each now.
Yeah, you got 1 minute each. You know me. You insult each other's mothers while like you go first.
You want me to go?
Yeah,
first?
Go first. No, you went first. So you go first again. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta give him some time.
No, I know. It's just,
Good luck. You notice how I said that whole thing calmly and with ease.
All right.
It's because I know her story is worth telling more than these miscreants.
Whoa, wait.
That's some extra time. That's some extra time. All right, so
tell me when it's my
time. You're ready and go, Brian.
So what I will say is 100% agree that Okoye and the Dora Milaje and the War Dogs and every aspect of that world of Wakanda is very important to the creation of the African diaspora story and the story that will help lead Afrofuturism into the future in the title itself. Now, my thing is...
Thank you for supporting me.
Okoye, as a character, the background story that you want to create sounds very similar to someone we just saw in their first movie, and you even mentioned the similarities. And, in sticking with the references to things that have been done already, the story of a young warrior growing up, finding their true inner power comes from within, and helping the world of mankind be better sounds quite wonderful, doesn't it? And I think that something like that doesn't necessarily need to be retold when it was already done moderately well. I think, if anything, what we could do is continue to grow the characters.
Yeah, I'll let that pass because there was the slight interference, so I'll give that. All right. That's fair. I'm liking this really, calm approach. It's almost freaking me out how you guys are being right now. It's not been at all like any of the other episodes. I feel like I've woken up in another universe. But fair enough. So, Toby, ready and go.
Celestials. Superhuman beings with celestial powers that are pretty much immortal. And they're a team of these kind of people. So we're talking the Inhumans on crack at this point. Why do we need a team that don't have any real weaknesses? What kind of story are you expecting us to... Oh, there's been a break-in by so-and-so villain here and there. Send the Celestials. You go there and they get them because they can't die. Who wants to see that? The story ends in one episode. There's nothing to see here. These guys are not interesting. Doc couldn't even give you a story about them because he doesn't even know any. No one knows any. No one cares. The end.
with exactly the end. Time done.
Can I just make I made a mistake earlier. I forgot to mention that I mentioned John Romita Jr. He didn't create this story that I love. He was the illustrator. The story was so interesting that one of the best writers in the world, Neil Gaiman, decided to write one of their stories. I just thought I'd add that and confirm that and throw that. Neil Gaiman.
Except that wasn't added during any of your time. So, Judge, I
was just correcting a mistake.
We should recant this from the statements that were made.
Correcting a mistake.
If I agree, is it sustained?
Judge, do with that information as you will. The only reason I brought it up is because I made a mistake and I wanted to correct.
So usually when stuff is brought to court, okay, they tell the jury not to watch the news, not to be biased in any way.
Of course
about
not.
These things.
Of course not.
And when some bias comes in, they take out that bias.
But not the bias. If misinformation is given, do you not instruct the jury for proper information?
This is what I was waiting for. This makes me feel better.
It was. I said John Romita Jr. was only the illustrator. I did not have the right information.
All right. Order in the court. Both of you guys.
And then he added the Neil Gaiman thing. What was the point of that?
I needed to clarify. Neil Gaiman wrote it.
Come on.
I said John Romita Jr. earlier.
Come on.
Judge, please. You don't have to take that.
Oh, seriously. Order in the court. Order in the court. Both of you separate.
Only be calm for so long.
You know? All right. So I will say you guys actually both brought up interesting points. And actually, for me, I know a little bit about internals, so I agree with your statement that they do a bit more. They need a bit more. But at the same time, I also liked Toby's pitch.
For wonderful story, sorry?
The only thing is you both brought up the exact same point that I was thinking, in that you both have stories that recently had similarities. You had Wonder Woman for Okoye. You had
Wonder Woman. I didn't even think.
But at the same time, Eternals are essentially the Inhumans on crack. And unfortunately, they are the B team to the New Gods. I will say that. So this is actually really hard, because at this point in time, it just really... I'm trying to think of... I'll say the basis of what I'm judging this on is what I think could give more meat to the universes. And then, since we're dealing with Marvel at the current moment, we also have to figure out what they're dealing with right now. And unfortunately, Eternals, I don't see where you could have... I don't see how it would affect today, and maybe that's because they need more spotlight, which is possible. Because I'm not gonna lie, this is very on the fence. This one's a hard one.
They've barely brought in Adam Warlock, and you think the Eternals are going to fit into this?
That's a solid point. But if we're going to talk,
are we allowed to make points?
I was about to say.
I asked for equal time.
You can't do it.
You were making points.
I was not making points. All I did was correct a mistake. I said wonderful. I didn't say. I said wonderful. I asked for equal time. I asked for equal time.
You're not the good guy here, so I don't know what you're doing.
I'm asking for equal. Judge.
All right. Okay. Just give me 10 seconds to mull this.
I feel like I deserve equal time, but
take your time, sir. Take your time.
I'm.
Actually, don't take too long, because
no. I'm actually going to go with Okoye on this one.
Yeah.
Only because I do feel that the Eternals is something that's going to be an eventuality. It is not important for the now. Also, I think it's really important. And I guess, and I don't want this might be a bit of a political answer, some people might call it, but like I do think it's time to start giving female stories. They are important. There's a lot that I feel like people have been skipped over, but but this is going to be a pure female story. Like I've been someone who's been very advocate. I want them to make a proper Rogue movie. I want them to make a proper Storm movie. And I think this is something that could lead into bringing maybe Storm, like mentioning of Storm through this. At the same time,
That's funny you say that. We actually mentioned that on one of our episodes on Geektastic about how Storm could be brought into Marvel in the Black Panther world.
Well, I've always said like the next X-Men, if they're going to do the next X-Men movie, they should do like an Avengers thing where they should make a Storm movie, they should make a Gambit movie, they don't need to make a Wolverine movie because everyone knows Rogue, and then have a real original X-Men, like the Cyclops, Iceman, and all that, and then you make the nowadays X-Men. Yeah. So with that being said, and I also think that Wakanda is something, as much as the Eternals is something like, okay, yes, they've been there for the dawn of time or anything. I think it's time to take advantage and tell everybody about Wakanda right now. So I think that it makes more sense with what's going on right now. And it's actually something that Toby said, Adam Warlock first.
Oh, sure. I would just like to point out the judgment call is supposed to be based on who deserves more shine and not who is already getting shine and should get continued shine. I'm just saying
she was a sidekick in both movies, and both movies being Black Panther, and she was a little bit in the newest Avengers. Because what you guys
are asking for is essentially not an Okoye movie, though. You're asking for a Dora Milaje movie.
But that's where he corrected himself basically during his. He said that it could be one or the both. So that's what I'm saying. That.
Okay.
But if it's a Dora Milaje movie, it's still Okoye led. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I will. But if this makes you guys feel, it was like a 51-49 vote. I'll say you that much. You both did a. I see Brian. He's just like holding this magazine. He's just like been rubbing it the whole time.
I'm perfectly fine.
Guilt trip on me.
I'm perfectly fine with the decision.
And this has nothing to do with taking away a minute from me and from the next. Just joking.
I'll read the Eternals. I'll read the Eternals and get back to you.
Yeah, I just would like to state that your statement with regards to telling female stories or diverse stories, the Eternals being sentient beings inside of humans can be triggered in any facet. So you could make the entire pantheon of members the most diverse cast ever, which would be one of the most interesting ways to tell the story. My only statement.
I agree with that, but I feel like if the second their god ability comes out, because they would get all their memories and whatnot, no, because they've been in existence, and I feel that would actually rip away
from diversity.
From them being like a human. Like, if you have hidden memories and all of a sudden you're going to be brought back, and that's the other thing. I feel like it would be kind of like a bit like the show Lost. Whereas although Lost, like, they always had like, okay, well, this is a character's episode and we're going to do flashbacks, flash forwards. If you're going to do that, if they would do that in a film way, I think that it means that it could only be a TV show. And I'm like, and I don't think it'd be properly executed.
I say tell the story through time with the movies, by all means. The different eras of history that they affected as being gods. That's one thing I always thought for Hawkman that they should take advantage of.
That they never did.
Yeah,
which is
Hawkman is immortal, and you guys are always telling the story of Hawkman in modern day.
Egypt.
Yeah, or Egypt. When you could write the story, because he is forever reborn, and you could tell the story forever and ever, and you don't take advantage of that.
Through different agents, right?
Yeah. I think
you know what's funny about that is, you know what movie ripped off the Hawkeye and Hawk Girl story?
Which one?
Hancock.
Oh, yes. I was going to say Hancock. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, Hancock did that.
Oh, man. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I love Hancock.
Really? Hancock was really good. No, dude.
An original superhero story?
I
would say it's impressive, yeah. And the whole idea
the way it played out. Yeah, exactly. The way it played out was just unexpected. In the end, I was like, whoa, this took a turn.
Yes. As soon as you find out... Gods? Yeah, as soon as you find out that she has the same powers that first time when she hits him, I almost leapt out of my seat. I went to see that movie. That was, I think, the first movie I went to by myself.
Oh, right.
I was eating flotas that I got at Carlos and Pepe's, making all the noise in the world, sitting next to some girl who was a third wheel on a date.
Oh, man.
So her and I started, like, talking in the movie, like, isn't that amazing? It's like, yeah, it's so cool. Anyways, shout out to random girl I sat next to at Hancock all those years ago. But yeah, and I mean that moment where she hits him, where Charlize Theron hits Will Smith's character Hancock, I legit jumped out of my seat.
Oh, wow.
Not fear, just holy shit! Yeah,
like
it was so well done, and I almost wish I could go back to the moments before that, because every time you watch a movie afterwards, it's just like, damn, I already know what's gonna come. Like,
she's really popular with like the non-mainstream comic book stuff. Charlize Theron.
What else is she?
Well, she has Hancock. She has Atomic Blonde. She has Xeno, whatever.
The Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux. Yeah.
Okay.
He also had what's it called? Recently.
Well, he said Atomic Blonde.
Blonde.
What's the other one you're saying?
Tom Hardy, Deserty World.
Oh, yes, Fury Road, Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
is
that
originally a comic book?
No, but I think it got turned into. I think it had a short.
Cool.
Thing.
Okay. Well, guys, that was Judgment Call. This one to Toby. I unfortunately lost. Understood. The next one will be Dave versus myself, I believe, right?
Yeah, at a 2 minute.
And you have a minute penalty, so he only gets 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes to make his argument. But seeing as Toby never takes up his full 3 minutes, at this point, we might as well turn the damn thing to 2 minutes, and I'll just be the.
Because I don't need it.
I like my 3 minutes, and you say that, but you get like 2.5 more.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Like, you're like claiming that, and like looking at the time, I'm like,
yeah, you're getting close. But yeah, that's Judgment Call. If you guys ever have ideas of characters that you feel are underrepresented and that you'd like us to argue for, you can hit us up directly. We all have our own means of being contacted. You can hit me up on, I guess, one of the best ways is Instagram, because I'm pretty good with my Instagram. Toby is at that fit dude. I'm at Brian Holiday. Do you have Instagram?
No, I don't. It's one of the things I got to get on.
Are you on Twitter?
No, I'm the worst.
So we're gonna create a social media presence for Dave.
Yeah, because I am bad at that. Like, when I touch electronics, they blow up. Actually, technically, you could easily shoot a line on the our Squared Idea Facebook.
Oh yeah, there
you go. That would be it.
Yeah, so go to Squared-Idea. That's the Facebook, right? Squared-Idea as well.
Yes, it's still dash.
Yeah, so that's the Judgment Call, and the winner is Okoye, which, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm also very happy with.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I don't see you having much disdain.
No, I knew it, and you started out your statement by praising my side. I was like, all right, well, I guess I got this in the bag.
Yeah, there was it's not like I
never admit defeat.
It's not like I could argue against Okoye, because the story is a good story and should be told. I just don't think it should be told more so than mine, but it is a story that needs to be told. It's a wonderful story is all I'm saying. So going into our next segment, guys, this is ladies and gentlemen, ladies and germs, nerds and dweebs, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anyways, we're going into our next segment. This is the review. So we're going to be continuing our conversation on Punisher Max. This is volume 7 in the line of Punishers, but this is the first volume, issues 1 through 6. Punisher Max 2004, written by Garth Ennis, penciled by Lewis Larosa, and ink by Tom Palmer. So boys, where do we start? Start? I mean,
we start in the beginning.
I will say I like that they summed it up very quickly. Like, is the one thing about Punisher,
intro cap,
they always have to. I find in any
stories.
and every time you ever get introduced to them, they always have to mention his family dying and all that.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool, and I think that the extra details about his perception, like instead of saying, he was pissing off ex-mob member, and as a result, his family got killed on a picnic. Instead of saying that, you're seeing it legit through his eyes, like, I saw my daughter, and her blood and guts were everywhere. I saw my wife. I saw my kid. I didn't see any bullet wounds until I picked up his head and noticed they went through his open mouth.
Yeah, that's
just rough.
Right there.
And then you see like his brains in his hand, which I thought he got shot in his hand initially.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading, I'm like, oh god, that made it so much worse. It made it so much worse.
Brains in his hand.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was like an interesting, like, it brings up the level of intensity, and right away it tells you like, okay, this is not your. If you already are like squeamish with regular Punisher, like you better be ready for what's about to happen to you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of. I guess that's why this is my favorite Punisher series. because it's so violent. Does that make me a sicko?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
But I love the Joker, so I really can't really.
Just a little bit, buddy.
Honestly, like it just to me makes like, okay, you hear about a character named the Punisher. To me, this comic book, this whole series, speaks to that name effectively.
I will agree with that.
He's literally out there to punish people by death.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
No one is leaving this room alive. It's kind of like in a horror movie, for example, and I'm sure you've seen this kind of scene play out many times where, the protagonist is just chilling in a room and then the lights go out.
Yeah.
Lights come back on, monsters behind you, slices your neck. That's who the Punisher is, and that's what I want to see when I see a Punisher movie or a TV show or a graphic novel or comic book. That's the Punisher I want to see in this book. This series gives that to you in spades and then some more.
Yeah, definitely, easily. Another thing I really enjoyed, which I think is like it's in issue 3 or 4. I like that because they you know, the acknowledgement of his family dying was more like, that was the day I lost my humanity. That's what happens with the Punisher, right?
Yeah.
And he even says that, like, I was depressed for months, and, you know, I was just chilling at my house, and then he tells the first punishment.
Oh yeah,
and I thought that was really key, because that was like
that was good.
breaking like, that was like, okay, I'm really upset with my life. I'm really upset that, you know, God or whoever has dealt me this hand, and I don't know what to do, because I've always been like a quote unquote good guy. I've been a cop, CIA, or whatever he was. Yeah. And then, like, he's talking to a guy who's like, yeah, well, you know, we're neighbors, and I feel bad. And the thing that's messed up, he's like, I feel bad for you and that your entire family died, especially your wife was so cool. But you know what I'm doing with my wife? I'm cheating on her.
Oh, dude.
And, like, why would you tell that to someone?
Yeah.
Like, in any universe, why would you tell that to somebody?
Well, I mean, I feel like you are jumping to one of the crazy stories towards the end, but I feel like one of the reasons that guy tells him, and I think Frank even says it, is the guy wanted the punishment.
Yeah.
The guy wanted something to happen, because he's throwing, and Frank even says, here I am mourning my wife, and you threw yours away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and Frank's just like.
So you actually think the guy, when he's telling that to Frank, he wants to feel like, he wants to be dealt.
Yeah, he wants to be. He wants to be told. He wants to be made to feel guilty. And I'm thinking he didn't expect Frank to beat the out of him. I think if anything, he thought Frank would be like, you know, kind of that conversation of, you are really messed up. I'm really dealing with a lot of loss right now. You have a chance to be with the one you love. Don't be an idiot. Go back. Go be with your partner. And instead, and I don't know, maybe that's what that guy was doing. I don't know. I don't know the motivation.
Yeah, I could see.
But you see what I'm saying? Yeah.
From that perspective, I definitely didn't take it that way. I thought it was just some stupid ass, like, you know, asshole dude jerk who thinks he's the shit and went to Frank and, you know,
but like
just
what?
Talking.
But I mean, and sorry, Dave, one second. Sure. More to the fact though, like, but why to Frank, knowing what Frank just went through? That's the part I don't understand.
That's the inhumane part of it.
Yeah, like, you could go to any barbecue flipping burger guy on your block in the suburbs and be like, Tony, I gotta tell you. But no, you go to Frank, the one guy who just lost his wife and his kids. And I don't know. I don't know if they know what Frank does for a living, but let's take that aside. Frank is still a big fucking dude. Like I don't. Frank's not the guy I want to go see when I'm just like, yo, I know your life sucks, but dude, check what I'm doing. I'm banging this 20-something-year-old. What? Like, why would I want to go see the biggest guy on my block to, you know, reminisce about how stupid I am? Anyways, sorry, Dave, you were saying.
It's definitely a dumb move.
Yeah.
But I think the quote wasn't he wanted to be punished. I think he said, the Punisher said, he was like, he knew what he wanted, and regardless that he knew that it was wrong, he still went after it. And the thing that's kind of cool about, and the reason why I bring this up, and the reason why I know it's a little bit later in the book, but the fact that we're talking about, like, the origin story, I feel like, okay, yes, his family dying is definitely the thing that's made him go crazy, but I feel like by telling this story, it gave you insight to the methodology in his head of how he came to be like, okay, I have an injustice, this is wrong, so my way of doing things is based off of what happened with this guy. Like, it's not that you did right or wrong. It's that you did something and you knew it was wrong and you did it anyways. And then that's why it's the pecking order of what makes me want to, quote unquote, punish you, kill people or whatever.
So I agree with you. I don't think it's what makes him want to punish people. I think it's what pushes him to do something he already wants to do.
Yeah. So unleashes his, like you guys were saying before, the lust. The bloodlust.
Yeah, he is. It's the Dexter rules.
Yeah.
He legit lives by the Dexter rules.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Completely.
So I guess I'm going to comment a little bit about Garth Ennis as a writer, because I just have to.
Well, before you do that, do we care about any of the B Mafia stories going on in this?
You know, to be honest, no. I thought that I got it. I get why you had to do it, because it gives a motivation for other players,
and it adds more meat and context, and just more pages in this first volume anyway.
But those characters were literally cannon fodder to me. Like, the whole time I was reading the comic, I was just like, every one of you who's a mobster is going to die.
Especially that 101 guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, right away, you're like, okay, he's getting a bullet right away.
All of them. Every time they open their mouths, I was just like, this is useless talking, because you're about to die in like 2 pages.
One of them doesn't even talk. Ink's like,
I'm not gonna ruin the series for everyone. The rest of the volumes, anyway.
Mm.
So in this first one, we get to feel the heroism of the Punisher. We're like the same hype you just got about seeing mobsters about to get killed. You're like, yeah, we know how this is gonna end.
I'm guessing
the next series,
you see the family side.
You see his weaker sides.
Oh, okay.
You actually see the Punisher unravel. You see him close to situations you never thought you'd see him in, which is what makes this whole volume really, really good to me.
Yeah.
This first one is just an intro. I think the reason why it's written this way and depicted this way in the beginning is to give anyone who's never even read about the Punisher can just jump into the story.
Yeah, that's fair.
Regardless of if you've read those first 7, you said, right? Earlier?
Yeah.
Whether you've read them or not, that's why it says in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because this is sort of, you can forget of anything about the Punisher and just start from here, and it's okay.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, definitely, and I don't doubt. Like in my head, the way I saw it was this was the beginning, and they make references a few times in this comic to kind of like the fallout of what happens. Like how, the mobsters tell the women and the children to stay back. When he attacks them at the funeral and there's a kid standing right next to the car when he launches the I guess, rocket launcher.
And the kid's still alive after that.
Yeah, the kid's still alive and the kid's like pointing and no one else is noticing. And the kid's like pointing like, that's where the bomb came from. Like he's just pointing at the car. And I thought those subtle things of this community is seeing this monster run through almost like I Am Legend, where the idea is that Will Smith's character is the monster to the monsters because they live their lives and they go about their business, and then this monster is constantly trying to kill them. It's the same way that like the mob sees what they're doing as a service in a way to the community. Like, there's different mob stories in Marvel where the mentality behind mobsters is explained. Like, well, we do this for balance. We provide for the communities that no one else is providing for. You can't.
Well, it's the drug lord motto though, so it doesn't really make them that much better. Like, for example,
no, I'm not saying they're better.
I'm going to bring this into real life for a second with Pablo Escobar or people like that, for example. They kill a ton of their same people in the community, but they give back so that those same people in the communities are on their side. It's like this weird, they're creating a balance of their own. They're not balancing anything else out.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So for the mob in the story, if you were to tell the story from the mob side, the mob is just like, we're just doing what we need to do to maintain and survive. And we do that. And Frank Castle comes in and is destroying the balance because he creates power vacuums and leaves full families without heads and stuff like that. So from their perspective, the idea, and this is why I figure later on we would see their side of things, because it's just like, kind of like, I guess, sympathy for the devil. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, so you see, okay, so this is also one of my points I'm going to add on to what you just said, where you said that he leaves power vacuums and he leaves families without heads.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was on when we were, I think this was before we started recording this episode. I mentioned to you guys briefly that Frank likes to kill.
Yeah. I mean, the comic
he could destroy. He's already killing people.
Yeah.
There's no point. You have your morals and values aside from honor. Those things are out the window at that point.
Yeah.
You should be destroying the entire mob, the entire family, and not leaving people to come back and restart the organization so that you can come back in and start picking them off again like insects.
Yeah, but isn't that the whole concept, that he enjoys it? Like, because that's one of the underlining things, right? Like, so he enjoys it. So maybe that's the reason why he leaves. Like, example, technically, I don't want to be like brutal because obviously he has a moral, like, don't kill kids and wives, obviously. But technically, example, that kid pointing, he could grow up to be the next mobster who's like, I want to kill Frank. You left me alive, and this is what I want to do.
I 100% think that a good writer would use that one frame from this story where the kid points and 20 years from now writes a story about that new mob boss taking over.
Yeah.
And being like, this kid was there the day Frank murdered people at a funeral.
Yeah.
Like
and
at
a funeral,
and then
no
show
less,
him
right?
going through school and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and managing that's like mental.
Yo, maybe we should stop
picture.
talking. Maybe we should pause it and write
Give
down
it-
this
give it
idea.
an idea.
Yeah, before we.
Just gonna write this out like
We're just
3
gonna write
days
this
later.
out first, and then we're gonna come. So, and we're back. Hey, what's up, everybody? But yeah, no.
Or if you want to turn Punisher completely heel, you would have killed that kid, but you wouldn't have seen it on frame.
Oh God.
Oh
You would
man.
have just seen the kid fallen, and you wouldn't have not known who did it.
Oh,
But you would have thought,
dark.
you would have had your suspicions, and then to be playing with that throughout the whole volume, throughout the whole series, it'd be playing with that. Did he or did he not? People are coming after him because he did. People are helping him to prove that he didn't, because he doesn't kill kids ever. But maybe the Punisher just broke, and now he's saying, "Fuck it, I'm going to kill everybody." So there's more that could have been told here too. I think that would have been a little extreme at the end of the day too.
That, or you could have had a the bride with Cottonmouth's daughter moment. You could have had as well. So Kill Bill, right? So the first I think it's Cottonmouth at least. In the first issue, it's first movie, you have the bride who kills what's that actress's name? She's like the girl. I should have been Black Mama. Who you, Black Mama? Vivica A. Fox. Yeah, I think her name was Cottonmouth as like her code name. So she brutally kills her. But her daughter's there at the end.
Oh yeah.
And then you have her go up to him. And he's like, your mom deserved it. No. But you know what? If you hate me in 15, 20 years, when you want to, you come find me. And a lot of people said that's the rumored third movie.
I don't see how you couldn't make it.
Yeah.
She literally sets that up.
Yeah,
that
but
whole scene sets up a revenge story.
You could have had something very similar with this.
Lucy Liu's character, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. But Vivica A. Fox's character, he leaves the kid. Yeah. She leaves the kid, sorry.
So you could have had a moment like that too here.
Oh, where it's just like Frank Castle looks at the kid and says, but then that just goes more into what we were saying about Frank Castle as a character. He likes the violence. If he actually scorched the earth, there would be nothing else for him to fight.
But I'm saying it would have just added on to that concept that he needs it still.
Yeah,
because that's what the thing is going through for especially when you get to issue 5 and 6.
Yeah,
it's like this is basically saying you enjoy it, and that would have been a good way to keep it going.
Yeah. So, quick, as I was saying before, just to address Garth Ennis's writing. So when I was reading this, I was trying to think, because I didn't read who the writer was. I just started reading the comic, and I was trying to remember who it reminded me of, and then I was just like, man, the way this guy writes women is A, definitely a dude, and B, reminds me of the guy who writes The Boys. The way the superheroes kind of just like one of the stories is like in The Boys is is that the superheroes run train on one of the new girls that joins the team. And it's just like, good God, you guys are sick bastards. And then like just hearing how O'Brien talks at the beginning, and then I was just like, oh, it's Garth Ennis. That makes sense. Garth.
What year was The Boys written?
I'd have to double check. If someone can double check that while I'm doing this piece.
I'll do that right now. So 2006, 2012.
The Boys?
And the Punisher Max. Yeah, so the Punisher Max
in the middle,
first.
Yeah, so this was him testing the waters of like what he could write for women. First of all, Garth, I don't know if you wrote women that way because you feel that is the ideal of what women should be like. I hope not. I hope
his idea of the ideal.
Yeah,
I hope not, but I think maybe he started writing this O'Brien character, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute!" He got like a little light bulb moment.
Yeah, because so O'Brien is this female character that you get introduced to who works with. Is it Laura? What's the other? It's like this dude. I can't remember.
It's Roth and O'Brien.
Yeah, Roth and O'Brien. There you go. So Roth and O'Brien are these two spooks who are following Frank because microchips put them on to the fact that every year Frank goes to the cemetery, sees his family. It's the only place you can catch up with him. Don't take him at the cemetery because it's his one moment of respite. He even says it that way.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
he said I feel that would be indecent.
Yeah. So he does the whole following thing. They do the whole following thing. But this O'Brien character, I gotta say, I wasn't impressed. To the point where every time I saw her panels, I wouldn't read her bubbles because I was just like, you're not saying anything of importance. Every piece of dialogue out of your mouth is just pointless sexual like nonsense. And it was just
or just like startled, like being startled, and then she's just shooting. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You're right.
No, she's a nympho. That's all it is.
Yeah. You could literally not read anything she says, and it would still be the same story.
Oh, it does not affect... Not a word. Her actions are the only things that change.
Yeah.
Not any things that she says.
Same thing with Roth, to be honest.
But the thing is, you know what they are? After...
Cannon fodder?
Well, on top of that...
I feel like this whole comic is just cannon fodder. That's everyone was thrown in to be killed at some point.
He's trying to do extremes, obviously, in this, right? This is the extreme version of Punisher, right? Like the blood, the guts, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Say this is like a rated R comic book, right?
It is.
So what's in rated R? There's swearing, he has it down. There's blood and guts, he has it down.
Yeah.
Adult content, he has it down. The one thing this guy is missing is sexuality. That's the only thing he's missing, and the two characters that we're talking about are the... I hate to say it, the failed attempts of sexuality. The girl being a nympho being turned on by bloodlust, I guess, in its own way, which is a fail. And then Roth, I mean, you know, he
gets his actual testicles removed.
So it's the only time that he's able to bring it in, and I think it's like he's like, it was forced.
Oh yeah,
like you may as well just make them go to a strip club if you want them to do that. Have a shoot up in a strip club, you get the sexuality there. Have them kill people when they're having sex. Like that, I would rather that than some girl who's like trying to listen in and be like, I want to hear his voice so I could like jerk off to it later or whatever. Like it
was really weird. Or if you're gonna do that,
so weird.
if you're gonna do that though, yeah, exactly. If you're gonna do that, make all your characters like that, so that it just makes more sense that they're all that up, as opposed to the one female character that in your story is the weird nympho. Roth is the dumbass. You have...
you know what? In the world of The Boys, that probably worked because that world is fucked.
Yeah.
In this world, it's because of the kind of violence and it still takes place in a sort of a place that's more grounded in where we live.
If anything, one of the things about the Max stories is it's the only time the comic book feels like it could take place in our universe.
Yeah, like it's actually happening in New York right now.
Yeah. Like there's no superheroes, there's no one there's no capes, it's just, you know, you got a dude who's obsessive with guns and likes to kill people. You have a computer genius who helped him murder thousands of people, turned him into a war machine, as he says. And you have spooks and mob. And that's it. That's a real world.
And I just don't buy that in the world, again, in this world. It's based in our world, but the extremes, like extreme violence, true. But I don't buy an extreme one. Like if she was so sexual, I feel everyone else should have been just as sexual.
Yeah.
Or it shouldn't have been so closet.
It just didn't fit in the narrative at all.
Yeah, exactly.
In this story, it was unnecessary.
Yeah, and
that's if there was definitely a sore point to that, is because that whole thing was unnecessary.
Yeah. And I mean, since we are mature comic book readers because we're adults, the other aspect to that is it reads like something an adult would write, thinking this is what a teenage boy wants to see in the world. Like a teenage boy would want to know that a gravelly voice will turn a psychotic woman on.
Yeah, a big penis is important.
Yeah, big penises are important. Gravelly voices, being a macho man, like all that stuff. It's just like
or the fact that you want to be with a psycho woman.
Yeah, that's it.
You want to be with a psycho woman.
Wherever you are listening to me right now.
Yeah.
The psycho woman appeal is bad for you. It's bad for you.
It's bad. Kids, stay away. Run.
It's a myth.
As the Punisher says, just run.
They do exist. Same thing as psycho men, and nobody wants to be with a psycho man. So I want to be with a psycho woman.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Yeah. As for the art, I like the style. I like the style a lot. I think that Larosa and Palmer do an excellent job with especially the tone, and one of my favorites was the interview, the
whole interview in the dark room
with Micro and Punisher in the room together. The way that was lit I guess, is that...
And how he smirks and stuff during when they're having conversations, like, I am creep the hell out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because you don't see Frank's face all that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The art with Roth, the scenes with Roth and Post having the testicles removed are some of the most intensely drawn... Yeah. Like, I mean, if
I felt for it.
Yeah, if
I hurt.
Once
while
again,
I was watching it. I was hurting.
You can see why the comic, The Boys, is the way it is. 2 years later after this, because this is where he started. If this is where he started, because I don't know if it's his first one, but if this is one of his starting points, and he got to do stuff like that, like, you know, Garth Ennis says to them, "This is kind of how I want you to draw this scene," and then those artists come in and draw it that way. Well, then 2 years later, when someone gets pulverized by a superhero and all that's left is two hands, like one of the characters is holding two hands and it's just blood and guts everywhere, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because you've been doing that for the last few years already.
And what about the old guy that he fought at the end, Pitsy?
Oh, when he gets shot in the face?
Who wouldn't die, and then he gets shot in the face, and you actually see...
Like his
it's so graphic that looking at the image, I'm like, oh, that's literally probably what somebody who got shot in the face would look like.
Well, the thing is,
it's crazy.
You think they had to look that up? Like they had to get.
Maybe.
They probably should. They probably took like something and actually shot it, and then like.
God damn!
Because the one thing about how I judge like good drawing, right, is like it's how it makes you feel and all that stuff, and specifically when Roth is like he walks down the aisle. He's trying to walk to O'Brien, and you see he has his hand out, and she's trying to look at what it is. He has like a sad face, but then when they really realize what it is, he has like this cringe face, and like I was like, I'm having phantom pains. I'm gonna put this book down for a minute. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm just gonna shake things out a bit, and then I'll come back.
Yeah.
But the few things well, sorry. Do you guys have anything to add on in regards to the art? Because I was gonna talk about a weakness that I thought about the book that actually. The art did complement, actually.
Oh, go ahead.
So one thing, there's three things I didn't really like about the book. Well, the O'Brien thing, like we don't have to go on that anymore. No, I thought that Micro's destiny, you knew right away what was going to happen to him by the end of the first comic book. Just by how he talked, you're like, well, dude, like you're dead.
Knew everyone
you're
was
dead.
Gonna die in this.
No, but like it was like so like, oh, I'm going to take him down like a rabbit. I'm like, dude, like fat boy, like as everyone said, you ain't doing shit. Right? Like you're dead. You're dead. You're siding with the enemy. You're gone. Like I don't even want to talk to you anymore.
You've turned on Frank. It's the end.
And the only thing I thought that was not. It wasn't that it was bad, but for me, I was like, this is something that I don't. Especially since you know how comic books, our characters don't age, but time passes, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's sometimes hard when it comes to comic books because, like, example, Captain America, he can't like at some point in time he may not be able to be in World War II almost anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they've already
or like Wonder Woman and this and that. Like
they've already had problems with that.
It's gonna be a problem. So in this, at the beginning, they give his wife's age by showing her tombstone.
Oh yeah.
So she's born in 1948 and then dies like when she's like 25 or something like that. Right. So let's just assume that Frank dates around his age.
Yeah.
So that means in 2004 he's like 50, 60 years old at this point.
I mean, he is...
Oh, I mean, it's depicted as really old here.
Yeah. I mean, O'Brien makes that comment, like, he's really fit for his age.
But it's like...
And I guess the idea is he's supposed to be in his 50s or 60s.
But it's conflicting for the Punisher being used in, like, regular canon and all the other ones, right? Because, like, he's always known as an older guy because he's had to have lived a life, lost a family.
Yeah.
So I always, you had to be. Anytime I read him, like you have to be in your 40s. When you start making him look like he's in his 50s or even in his 60s in some of these pictures, it's like, can this guy really do? Like he got shot. In the face with fake shotgun slugs, and then shot in the arm with a real shotgun. Yeah. How are you running around, bro? I can't do that now. My skinny ass is gonna die if you do that. So, like, how does that make any sense?
He's like 260, 6'4". You know, he can handle a shotgun. A stun gun shot to the face.
You know,
I think if anything, and this is why I was saying this earlier, I really do feel that this comic takes place in like more our world, almost in the sense that the Punisher Max line or the Max universe isn't the 616 or the 1610 Ultimate Universe. I don't know if it's its own universe, if they've ever confirmed that, but it feels like it's outside because of the fact and that's what I said. It's Old Man Logan, but Punisher. I mean, even though this comes way before, but the idea is just like the Old Man Logan story takes place in a future, This story feels like it takes place just some time down the road.
But one thing that was cool about it, because when I was growing up, I always thought in my head, well, if the universe was perfect, so Sylvester Stallone in his prime would have done a Punisher movie. There's a lot of. I even have a comic book at home. I'll bring it here one time.
I don't see it.
It's more just
there's a comic book I have that when you see the cover, it is Stallone dressed up as Punisher, and it's beautiful.
Don't get me wrong. He has the physicality. I don't know if he.
The acting ability. No,
yeah, okay, there you go. As long as we're on the same page.
We're talking about looks, all right? Every time you talk about comic book people in a movie, you have to have the look, and can you say words? That's how it works first, and then you ask if the guy can act, depending on how hard the story is. But the one thing I did like...
Hold on, Toby was saying...
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I actually found some bit of information, but it's literally, if you look everywhere, there's no information of what universe this is a part of.
Okay. So it doesn't say 616 right now.
It is told, though, that the Max, quote unquote, Max universe is a place where superheroes don't exist. It's more a grounded reality.
Yes.
Which would be ours at that point.
Yeah, because it does
exactly.
feel... I mean, the only one that's maybe has something is Luke Cage, like, because he gets that skin, but from a prison test gone wrong. But yeah. Isn't Jessica Jones in it, though? Alias?
But isn't...
She doesn't use her powers, but isn't her story a Max, the Alias stuff?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yes. But just to get onto like the reason why the one thing that was a cool compliment that the art did for the whole him being old.
Oh wait, no, sorry, you're right. My bad. I just looked it up.
Is in issue 3. There's in the interview phase.
Yeah.
Because one thing I got from the Punisher, I was like, oh, he feels like kind of Clint Eastwood like.
Oh, he's drawn like Clint Eastwood.
And then there's like this picture right here, which is the exact.
Well, they can't see it, but...
Well, yeah. So if you go to about halfway through
issue?
Issue 3.
Issue 3.
And he says there's this picture where he looks exactly like Clint Eastwood, and of all the things he says he's referencing because he's bringing out pictures of his family.
I'll make that the image for this episode.
It's a. Put them away right now, or I guarantee you'll have to kill me. And I'm like, what? How more Clint Eastwood are you getting than this? It's like it was cool. I like that. I like that nod.
It is a nice one. But yeah, so I mean that's the review, guys. Toby, did you have anything else you want to add to it? I mean,
no, I think we covered
everything.
We covered pretty much everything.
We could talk the last battle if we want because it was a little ridiculous. But
I mean, if you want to talk about Pitts. That's the one time that it felt supernatural.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Toby, you already brought him up. He gets shot in the face with a shotgun blast, and he's still walking.
He's in the next issue.
So which makes me believe that information I found is probably wrong there.
Yeah.
He's in the next issue somehow.
It doesn't say what universe. I think it's just supposed to be its own thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's this one character in it that I call him, like, Little Wolverine, once again. Just because he doesn't have... If Wolverine's healing factor was like diminishing, this is what he would look like.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
like a little guy.
Well, he's not. He can't be little Wolverine. Wolverine's already 5'0".
He's like fucking Wolverine having a baby.
He's Wolverine. Yeah, exactly. He's Wolverine light.
But yeah, the whole idea is that he could, like, this guy... Okay, you guys really do have to read this last issue. It's issue 6. There's a crazy... 5 and 6, right?
5 and 6, yeah.
Yeah, read issues 5 and 6 for one of the most interesting fight scenes. If you watch the Punisher series on Netflix, and that fight at the end where the Punisher is, like, pretty much...
Can't hear this. Go
on.
Oh,
you didn't watch it?
I'm late.
Okay.
Go for it. It's my fault. It's my fault.
It's okay. I mean, I'm not ruining anything by telling you the Punisher gets into a fight and is almost as bad as Pitts.
Oh, shit.
And still gets up. And so that's why it doesn't shock me that in this comic book in 2004, they had other guys who were like Frank, who are like almost indestructible. Because even Frank gets shot. Like you said, he gets hit in the face with rubber slugs and shot in his arm. Later on in the comic, stabbed, punched, beat, blown up, and still keeps going.
But Micro shot really badly through the vest.
Yeah, well, Micro's But anyways,
but
all
which
that
I have to say, like, I'm surprised that Micro thought that he was going to live.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at a panel right here where Pitsy shoots him with a shotgun to the ribs, and all he thinks is...
Yeah, my rib's gone.
Yes,
it's not broken.
It's gone.
That's a rib gone.
Yeah, it's not broken.
And he's cool about it. He's like walking down the street, blood coming out of the side of his body.
But if you read the comic, then there's still a whole issue after that. Like what do you mean? What do you mean someone's Well, that's a rib gone. It's not broken. It's gone. It's like, what are you talking about?
He Marilyn Manson me like.
Oh my, yeah, seriously.
But no,
Yeah,
the only last thing about the comment I want to make is that I was really surprised that Micro thought that he was going to live. Like, let's be honest. Like, he's like, the second he's like, oh well, everyone uses drug money to get what they want. Everyone needs narcotics. You're like, dude, you sound like a bad guy. Like, how are you trying to talk to Punisher this way?
I'm justifying the use of drugs. Wait, what?
And he's like, but you take money from people. Yeah, he's like, yeah, but I kill them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't use their money. I kill them and take their money.
Yeah, micro. Poor baby.
And we're supposed to believe that Punisher, after throwing Pitsy out the window onto that metal spiky picket fence, he jumps out of the third-story window and kicks Pitsy down even further with no regard for his own life. You're telling me coming down from a third floor when that was worse, he didn't go through the spikes himself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
But the best is like when you see Pitsy running after him, like it's in his back.
Yeah,
like,
Pitsy runs after him with the freaking fence sticking out of his back.
Pitsy still didn't die after the whole thing.
Oh my god, Pitsy.
But
the real MVP.
Exactly. That's what makes this comic book
he's
fun.
the LeBron of the team.
Oh man. In the clutch, you want a man like Pitsy on your team. He doesn't give up.
Oh, have you ever seen that volleyball and soccer dude where like every time they kick it towards the net, it always bounces off his head?
Scott Sterling. I was watching that this week. I love that thing. Scott Sterling.
Scott Sterling.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Where his team like lifts him up to bounce. Yeah.
With wings of an angel, with the face of a devil.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, man,
okay, so we're going into our next segment. This is best, fave, worst. We are doing layers. So comic book layers. So if you guys, you have the Bat Cave, the Arrow Cave, aka the Quiver. Shout outs to Injustice for that one. Teen Titans Tower, Avengers Tower, like all those different places. What is the best? What is your favorite? What is the worst? Who wants to go first? I don't know.
I need a moment.
You need a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Toby, you want to go, or you need a moment as well? Because I can tell you my worst. I can tell you the worst right now for me.
You want to go with worst first? Okay.
I'm going with worst first. So
okay, sure.
My least favorite, and I definitely do think is the worst, and I think it's because it's animated, is Teen Titans Go Titans Tower.
Okay.
And I say that,
guy, of course.
Yeah, and I mean, because you could have an animated series and have a cool layer, but because Young Justice, for example, animated series, cool layer. I love their layer. I think it's a really interesting one. The X-Men, anyways, I'm naming the other ones that I like, but the worst for me really is Teen Titans Go, and not because the characters are kind of ridiculous, but because the tower itself, and I guess it's supposed to be an extension of the insanity, but the tower itself just seems like a really stupid place. Like, it doesn't seem like there's nothing redeeming about that tower. Like, you guys, as much as the Teen Titans Go are supposed to be silly and funny and everything, you could still have a layer that is actually well thought out and developed. And instead, this
doesn't look stable at all.
No, it's not an impressive layer. You can tell silly stories because, like, for example, what's the other one where the heroes are kind of silly? I mean, they're the main example.
Well, there was one that's the like the West Coast Avengers, which is like an apartment.
Yeah.
Which is like just as equally silly, but I assume that maybe in the apartment, like, 'cause it's kind of like the Baxter Building. Okay, it's an apartment, but like I'm assuming there's a bunch of defenses against it.
It's funny you should say that. My favorite layer, funny enough, and it's not because it's cool, but I just thought it was always funny as a kid. And that's what made it my favorite, was Spider-Man, Iceman, and Fire.
That was going to be my worst.
Oh, really?
Because it's like... Anyways, it's my turn. I'll explain it.
The reason it was my favorite is always because I thought, this is stupid. Like, I liked it. It was my favorite because of how dumb it was. Why is Spider-Man driving a car? Why is Iceman living with Spider-Man? Why is this poor Fire Girl, like, what is this? Two's company, like, what is this show? And you guys live in an apartment. And then, like, the apartment had things, right? Like, they would press and it would, like, flip walls to get...
the thing is, it's technically Aunt May's house, right?
Yeah.
Because it's funny that you mentioned this because I actually have the original first episode on VHS.
Oh God!
So like I've rewatched the origin story / them making the base.
Yeah.
So like, because like at first, what happens is that. First of all, it's really lame. Their exit strategy is they remove a rug, take away some planks of wood, and then Firestar just jumps and like buries a hole to the outside. And then they have like nothing. They have like a laptop, and then like they help Tony Stark, and then Tony Stark's one day all this computer equipment came to our house and we installed it. That's essentially what it is.
That's why it was my favorite.
But it's like,
because it was so you'd have to reduce every room by a foot with fake walls for it to make any sense as to how you fit all those electronics.
It's a flip of the switch and everything turns around.
Yeah.
Right?
So you would have to have fake. So just like my like, because we record this at my place, I would have to make every wall in this room like a foot in and reduce all the space so that I could have fake walls that flip over with like all my superhero stuff. And I love how stupid that was. It was my favorite for that reason.
No,
because Aunt May is.
They activated because it's not a switch. It's actually not a switch. It is a statue that they move. So while she's cleaning the house, how is cleaning the house? How does she not activate everything by accident? And there's actually an episode where you see they're doing everything, and then she walks in. She's trying to walk in to like say hi to Peter, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they push it back, and they're like, "Hold on, Aunt May." It's like bloop bloop bloop.
Yeah.
Like, how does this make any sense?
Sorry, Tobes, go ahead.
Sorry.
So my worst would probably be one that everyone is aware of. I think the stupidest lair is Xavier's school.
What? Oh.
It's so obvious that it's a lair that it's not even. why would you endanger your students by having the lair right there in the school?
Yeah,
it's valid point.
You know what I mean? It should be at a separate location, and you shouldn't be training all of them to be warriors or anything. You pick a select few. Like the school should be sort of like a proving ground for them. They need to go through these studies and go through school, and you're watching and observing from afar. Picking the ones you want to actually train is the way I feel like it should be done.
My favorite is just the idea that the neighbor to that school is this like bohump regular guy who keeps seeing a blackbird fly out of the pool, and it's just like
he gets destroyed every 6 months.
Yeah, and he's always just like, are they trying to hide? Because it's pretty obvious where the blackbird comes from when you hear every other night coming out.
To be fair, yeah, that's true. I feel like shouldn't Shi'ar technology be quieter?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Oh my god.
Okay,
but
so we went through our worst.
Okay, so all of us gave our worst.
Yeah,
my favorite, like I was saying, is the one that's your worst. So you guys go ahead with favorites.
Biased because I love Batman. Although probably could be infiltrated a little easier than it's portrayed often. I like it, but I like it because he has his trophy rooms. There's just so much history that happens in that place, and it's the first toy I had. It's the first base I had as a toy. So I just love it. But I will also give notable mention to I actually really like Darkwing Duck's lair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, was it the top of a bridge?
There was a bridge, and it's one of the big poles in the middle of the bridge.
Yeah,
it's
okay,
the
that's
top
what I
of
thought.
it.
Yeah. So that's your fave.
Those would be my fave.
Tobes, what was your fave?
You know, I do have an issue with layers that are visible because I just think it's just stupid. Why even it's just like a beacon. It's constant.
We're right here.
Unless you like living in danger. So
that's why I'm looking forward to telling you guys my best. But I'll let you go with your favorite first.
My best would possibly be
your favorite.
The fourth.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My favorite. That's tough. They might be my both, but
okay.
Hold on. My favorite is probably the Fortress of Solitude.
Okay. Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah,
that is a very good one.
Right?
That's true. Yes.
It's just a place where he can go. No one can get access.
Yeah, you can't even lift the key, right? Isn't the key like
lift the key because you have to be Kryptonian or have Kryptonian blood?
Yeah.
You know, so right away, even just there, boom. No, A, you don't know where it is, and B, even if you got there, there's no way for you to get in.
Yeah.
You can't blow anything up. It's protected. And it's a place where he can go and just literally be his true self, always, constantly, without worry of anyone actually seeing him or being aware of where he is.
That's a good one.
And it's a place where he gets to talk to his father all the time. You know, so it's like it's, I don't know. It seems to me like a place where I would like to go and escape to.
And you're saying you think that might be the best one as well?
I honestly think so. Yeah, based on what a lair is supposed to be.
Yeah,
I think it might be the best one. Yeah.
I think. I mean, now that you say that, I definitely agree. I still will give what I think was one of the best, Legion of Doom. That dome in the swamp. That like no one knows where it is.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good one too.
I mean, I agree with you that because that the solidarity thing, like being out of view and no one knowing where you are, to me seems like a keen thing. Batman's Batcave, where he drives this super loud Batmobile and it always goes in the same direction at the end of the night towards Wayne Manor. Interesting.
Yeah.
Every night Batman drives towards Wayne Manor, and then they're also friends. How unlikely! And
With
you know,
that voice.
Why do you like the Hall of Doom?
yeah, the Legion of Doom I like because aside from the fact that it's just all villains, so because obviously that's not a good thing, but the design of it, like that kind of dome that's in a swamp, it's in an undesirable place, so it's not the type of place that people will just go to thinking to look for it. It was mobile, if I'm not mistaken. You could move it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So as much as it is
some sort of like mechanical legs.
like it stays often in the swamp just because it's out of the way. No one really seems to notice it or think of it there. It's not surrounded by much. It just seems like a smart place, and because of all the villains involved, it probably has really good defenses. Also, it's a type of place you can't really break into because, you know, if you did break into the Batcave, Batman's not going to kill you. He's just going to, you know, I don't know, try and erase your memory. Whereas breaking into Legion, they're criminals. They will murder you.
That's true.
They'll just toss you in the swamp next to them and be like, cool, that's done. Make sure no one else figures out where this place is. So
That's fair.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Villains are aware of where the Watchtower is, right?
Well, yeah, that fucking. The one time I swear, but
sorry, the satellite.
yeah, because it's in space, and then also they have the Justice League, the one on Earth. That's a big Hall of Justice. That's like in the middle of the city.
Right.
It's a beacon of hope. No, you're a target, like you were saying. Titan Tower.
Well, the other problem with the one in space, right? And that's one of the reasons why I quickly took it off my list as potentially a best, was that if you do something to the thing that makes it gravitate, like if it starts to fall to Earth, you're done.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that is dangerous.
Like it's very easily destroyed. And thanks to Toby, you've talked me out of what was going to be my best. My best was going to actually be the X Mansion, but that's because I always because I thought that all the equipment and stuff that they had was really cool.
It's true, yeah.
But you're right. Like technically, if anything, the first casualties will be children, not the X-Men. So I'm like, okay, you talked me out of it, just like you talked me into
literally putting children in harm's way.
Yeah, exactly. So
kind of sick if you think about it.
Professor X, you bald bastard. So I will actually say I will agree with Toby then. I think the Fortress is...
Yeah, I think that was a really good call, Toby.
Yeah, with a notable mention of Themyscira, though.
Yeah.
Because technically it's
that's
you could say,
great.
yes, you could fall upon it like, what's his name did? Trevor... Steve Trevor.
Whatever.
But, like, let's be honest, like, assuming that happened once, they probably learned from their mistakes and fix that up. So that would be a notable mention. But definitely Fortress of Solitude has to be...
that's a good call. That's a good call. Yeah, so if you guys are listening to this and you have your own ideas of what your best, favorite, and worst layers would be, once again, you can hit us up. You can always hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at @AStrongFranklin, or you can write a message in the comments below of this episode on franklinarmstrong.com, or even on our Facebook post, because we're going to be posting this on Facebook, and leave a comment if you guys have ideas. We're going to be going into our... And, oh, sorry?
Yeah, I was actually going to say, guys, final thoughts.
Final thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll let you guys go.
Are we doing out of 5 or 10? For the...
I think out of 5.
Okay, so out of 5, Garth Ennis is writing, the arts, the story, 3.5 to 4, 3.75.
Oh, wow.
That's still good.
It is, but...
That's still good.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I'm telling people, I'm still recommending it. It's still in the positive. I didn't give it below 2.5. I mean, the writing's fun. The story and the development of the Punisher, interesting. It's just... like I said, every character other than the Punisher felt like cannon fodder. the whole way through.
Right.
Like you said, from beginning to end, every single character I saw, I expected to die within a page or two. And that made it kind of hard to feel connections to anyone else because they're all just talking and I'm just thinking, you're going to shot soon. There's absolutely no point. So, as you know, other than the one scene with him and Micro, like you said, where they're in that room together and the black room, and he's just talking to him, which I thought was excellent writing. Micro's approach in trying to break him through his family. Micro then flipping, like, hey, we want you, like, you know, the whole time you think they're going to try and kill him, and instead it's like, oh, we want you to work for us and go after Bin Laden. What the hell? Like, the stuff like that, I was just like, this is very weird, but interesting. And like I said, I think the art's great. So the 3.75 on 5 for me.
That's a pretty good score. So if I knew or talked to a new fan of The Punisher and I was going to push them into the lore more, this is what I would start them off with. Like I said before, it's my favorite sort of storytelling in terms of like telling a new character, like a character's adventures.
Yeah.
Shorten the origin story as much as possible.
Yeah. You always
and
do
just
say
that. give me where he is now, and I love that they do that here too. So if I were to recommend this to anyone, it's like if you want to know more about his backstory, go and read all these other ones. But if you don't really care that much about what what started it all, and you just want to find out where he is currently, this is the best place to start.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm going to give this volume 3.5 though, meaning it's still a great reading. You should read this, but only because the better volumes come after.
Oh, but that's because you know more though.
This one.
So that's with the bias
exactly.
that you know more.
But this is worth reading to get to those, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
With me not knowing more, and taking into consideration obviously the crappy writing in regards to women, the few things that we've mentioned that were bad, I'm actually giving it a pretty solid 4, only in the sense that, as Toby was saying, you know, this is a very nice, concise version of the Punisher. If you need to jump in, if someone was like, hey, I need to know about the Punisher, but I really don't want to know everything, I just want to like be able to like, you know, get the essence of what the Punisher is, I'd be like, this is the book for you. Oh, wait, do you have a weak stomach? Okay, maybe this is not the book for you. But if you're accepting the fact that things are going to happen and that you're not going to want, and you might have to look away, this is where you'd want to start, and that's what makes me give it the 4. It's because it's not complicated either, which a Punisher story should not necessarily be the most complicated.
Yeah, if I were to draw another parallel, it's more Rambo than Rocky.
Exactly.
Both are heroes.
Very
but
good.
One
Very
tells
well
you
said.
too much story, the other one just gives you all the action, and that's all you want. If that's what you like, that's what you get.
And if anything, this would actually, a story like this would make me tell people, like, not only should you read these, like, there's other Punisher affiliated things I would tell. If you like this, I would say also read other books. Like, for example, you have the Thunderbolts, which was Thunderbolt Ross made a team of him, Punisher, Deadpool, Elektra.
Oh, yeah. This
Venom.
is when he's Red Hulk, though.
Yeah, this is when he's Red Hulk. And
that is good.
And it's a great... I read that entire series. I would recommend that to anyone. And I'd be like, read this. If you like this, then you may as well pick... Like, it's one of those books, like, if you like this, there's so many other books you could start reading, I think, with the Punisher.
Man, imagine if they turned General Ross into the Red Hulk in the MCU.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Which I think they're trying to hint eventually.
You think? Okay,
eventually, like that's like phase like 7.
He's been coming back into prominence a bit, so it's
exactly.
Weird.
That is a whole other story.
If you're gonna bring him into, if you're gonna keep making him have these Easter eggs in the movies, he has to turn into Red Hulk eventually.
Interesting.
Anyways, that's a whole other tangent.
Nice.
So yeah, 4.
Interesting.
So that's those are our final thoughts, I guess.
That's a show, kids.
That's the show.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, if you guys want to check us out, like I said before, always visit us on franklinarmstrong.com. If you want to check out stuff that Dave is working on, it's squared-idea.com.
Thank you.
They also have the Patreon, and you can find them on Facebook. And please like, follow, and
please
support.
Do. Fathom is actually almost at actual physical release. We've been doing like the electronic version, but Fathom should be actually, which is Mike Wilcox's creation baby. He's actually does everything for it, writing and drawing. Actually taught himself how to draw. It's actually amazing how good he's become. He's actually going to have a physical copy soon, so gotta check that out.
Awesome. And if you guys want to also follow us, Franklin Armstrong Collective, on Facebook, you can do so. It's facebook.com/Franklin Armstrong DOTCOM. And Geektastic Cypher is also our other podcast, which can be found on franklinarmstrong.com. Just check out our podcast archives, and all the past episodes are there. We also have a whole bunch of cool trailers on the website for you guys to check out. And if you want to hit up Toby on Instagram, he's under @ThatFitDude. And I'm Brian Holiday, HOLIDAE. That's the show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another wonderful episode. Peace.
Ciao.